Superman 4 is the much-hated follow-up sequel to the 1978 classic Superman. Guess what? I think it's better than Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. There, I said it! That and other hot takes after this. Roll the song.
We all love the first one, but the second movie sucked. Trying to catch lightning in a bottle 2 times takes a lot of luck. Brian, Tim, and Dave are watching movies that are lame. These are the sequels that aren't equal.
Welcome to Sequels That Aren't Equal podcast, the podcast that looks at beloved major motion pictures that get follow-up movies that fall well short of the mark. Today, we are talking Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, the 1987 follow-up to the 1978 beloved classic. Of course, there were 2 other movies in between. We'll talk about those too. As I said in the cold open, I like this better than the Zack Snyder movies, okay?
Wow.
Listen.
Wow.
This movie has a lot of problems. We're going to go into those problems, but I hate the Zack Snyder Superman movies. I think they're dark and joyless and they feel like homework to watch. Whereas this movie, you know, it's cheesy, it's fun, it knows what a superhero movie's supposed to be. I had fun watching it.
And I'm Dave.
I'm Dave.
I came out fucking
Yeah, man. I don't think we've had
swinging.
the hot take in the intro first.
Hot take. Hey, forget the intro.
Yeah, we're not even
Hot
not even
take
getting to the
city.
name.
We're Brian, Tim, and Dave. You know who we are.
Yeah, you know us. All 10 of you.
Yeah. All 10 of you know where. Hey, by the way, speaking of, let me give a shout out to the fine people of Frankfurt, Germany. Apparently, we've picked up some fans in Frankfurt, Germany.
There's no way to like
Guten Tag. Yeah, my stats on my podcast app show that all of a sudden we're getting downloads out of Frankfurt, Germany. So
I think it's more of like a fetish site or something.
The furry episode.
yeah, the furry episode. Now all
the furries.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Germany, somebody has a fetish of 3 men in their 30s and 40s talking about movies while they're watching,
Shiza films?
Yeah. Shiza.
Oh, yeah, I did forget. Hi, I'm Brian.
And I'm Tim. And you guys are wearing, first off, you got to have production meetings on uniforms now. Or
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Both of you guys
don't have a
wore red.
closet here in this particular.
You guys wore red.
You both wear red. I don't care. And I'm wearing a Spider-Man t-shirt just to be contrary.
It's distracting on this end. You know what I'm saying? It's distracting on this end.
I don't know who's talking now.
Who's talking
I don't know.
We don't have the same voice,
Yeah,
so that
I don't know who's
doesn't help.
talking
That
now.
doesn't help. All right, so
All right.
let's give the stats for 1978 Superman, all right? Came out in 1978. The studio was Warner Brothers. Although it was independently produced, can we remember the name of the producers? French
It's
guys.
Alexander Salkind.
Salkin, thank you.
Salkind.
And then
There's
it's a father-son.
Yeah, there's a couple different, that were all worked,
That's right. So they picked up the rights, the film rights to Superman on the cheap. Of course, Superman was like a serial of shorts that would play like in the 30s or 40s before major, movies. And then it came back in the 50s as like a TV show and then hadn't done anything since. So these Salkins pick up the screen rights to Superman pretty cheap, I assume. Not, because DC Comics just at the time wasn't owned by Warner Brothers, so they probably weren't expecting to do anything with it. And then they went on to start quite a franchise. So Superman was written by, who wrote the screenplay to Superman 1?
Should I know it?
I know,
You recognize it. I promise you'll recognize the name.
Can you give me a few clues first?
Wrote The Godfather.
Mario Puzo.
That's right. Mario Puzo.
It has a hell of a pedigree, this film.
It sure does. I mean, look, so written by Mario Puzo and then David and Leslie Newman. I'm sorry, I don't know who the Newmans are, but Mario Puzo jumped out to me. Directed by Richard Donner. And of course, starring Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder, Gene Hackman, Marlon Brando, Ned Beatty, among others. So, I mean, a very, very, very stacked cast.
Score by John Williams.
Okay, I was going to bring that up. This is my top 3 John Williams scores of all time. So, I mean, no, I love the Superman.
The theme is, It's wonderful.
Very iconic. So
What
for
are the
me,
other two?
So for me, number one, Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Number two, Jaws, because it's so iconic. But Superman would be number three.
Well, right.
I mean, I would even put it ahead of other John Williams scores that I love, like Indiana Jones and Harry Potter. But dude, the Superman, dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
I mean,
it
is
gets
just
you going.
super iconic. Do you have a John Williams score that you like more than Superman?
Give me a few here. Is Empire Strikes Back a different story
Well, yeah,
than
I
Star
mean,
Wars?
I'll lump
All
mine,
of Star
yeah,
Wars
in
in
as-
I remember the Empire just being a little bit more.
well, the Imperial March.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's badass. Yeah, that's the cream of the crop when it comes to Star Wars. But yeah, I mean, that sounds like a fair top three to me. I mean, Jaws for sure, because the sound is the scariest thing ever.
Yes.
If you're ever in a body of water, you just hear that sound. Somebody played on the radio. You're swimming out of that enclosed pool.
And is there an example of a score doing any more heavy lifting than the score from Jaws? Where, like you said, the score is actually part of the horror, because when you hear the score, it's like, oh no, that's the shark. So it's not just kind of like creating emotion, it's actually creating the horror.
And that's been in a bunch of other films parodied.
Oh,
too,
yeah,
so that keeps on playing for John Williams. I hope he got all the rights to that.
Oh, I'm sure he's very well paid for it.
Yeah, if I had to go I mean, it might be other than like a Star Wars, probably Jurassic Park. Love that score. So
Okay,
good.
yeah, score, yeah.
So good.
And Harry Potter is
Oh
also
yeah,
very good.
Harry Potter's beautiful score there.
Yeah.
But
Is
yeah,
he the
Jurassic
modern day Mozart or what?
He's got to be. I mean,
Yeah, I don't think he gets enough credit for what he's done for cinema.
oh, absolutely.
I love Steven Spielberg. His films aren't the same without John Williams. Hate to say it.
Oh yeah, the whole
he does-
Amblin vibe
yeah.
is doing a lot. It's riding a lot on the back of
Did
John.
he do the score for the Fablemans?
I don't know. I haven't seen that yet. So the first Superman had a budget of $55 million, which in 1978 is a
lot.
very healthy budget.
That's a big, yeah.
Okay, to put that in perspective, okay, the movie Star Wars was literally made 1 year prior with a budget of $8 million. So I think it maybe ballooned to 13 though. But anyway, we're talking like a fraction of the budget. So Warner Brothers was definitely backing this thing up with heavy resources, Industrial Light and Magic. This, along with Star Wars, were really the movies that put ILM on the map. The special effects are still quite good even today. Maybe some modern CGI is better, but all that they had to do practically in camera with camera techniques and what have you. And it's a beautiful movie that holds up very well. They also did something pretty interesting at the time. They filmed Superman 1 and 2 at the same time, which you hear of occasionally with Lord of the Rings movies or, other big movies. But for 1978, I don't think anyone had ever done that before. Shoot a movie and its sequel at the same time. They had that much confidence that this was going to be big. Mm-hmm. It was directed by Richard Donner, and he directed the first one and part of the second one, because like I said, they shot concurrently, but the studio started to lose faith in him. So they actually pulled the second one away from Donner and gave it to, who's that? Lester?
Yeah.
The Hard Day's Night.
Yeah.
And he kind of finished 2, and that's why years later there was that whole pressure of release the Donner cut.
Before Snyder cut.
Before
it
the Snyder
was
cut.
release the Donner cut.
Which I have not seen. Have you ever seen the Donner cut?
No, I didn't know it existed.
Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
a big thing. You can get the Blu-ray.
You can get a Blu-ray of the Donner cut where he went back in, restored some scenes. So, I mean, Richard Donner, not that Superman is a serious movie by any stretch, but he was trying to do it sincere, straightforward, what have you, whereas Richard Lester is very much a comedian. He directed Hard Day's Night. He went on to do Superman 3, where I tried to rewatch Superman 3 for this, and it's really hard to watch. It is a much worse sequel than Superman 4, which is funny because Superman 4 gets all the hate. But anyway, the opening scene of Superman 3 is like a comedy. It feels straight out of the opening of Austin Powers, where people are walking down the street and there's a pretty girl and people see her and they trip, and it causes this Rube Goldberg effect of all kinds of things happening. And then Superman has to get involved, and it's crazy. So, Richard Donner was a brilliant director, made a very good Superman movie. So on the budget of $55 million, it went on to make $300 million.
Wow, that's nice.
Which in 1978 dollars,
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah.
So, a couple of years after Superman, they make Superman 2. Superman 2 is actually a sequel that is equal. I think Superman 2, even the original Lester cut, is better than Superman.
Yeah, I'd say that's most probably say it's as good or better even. That's definitely one of those. If you say it's better, you're like, yeah, I agree. I ain't gonna hate on you if you say it's better or as good.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you could try to make the argument that one is better than two, and either one, I'm not gonna fight you on it. They're both very good. They're very, very well met. So, of course, Superman 2 would never qualify for this podcast. Originally, I was pushing to do Superman 3 only because I thought Superman 3 was going to be the better watch. That's, of course, where they went in a very weird direction, and they got Richard Pryor to be the lead, and Superman was kind of the co-lead. And no, I tried to watch it. It is unwatchable. Whereas, as I said in the beginning, Superman 4, it's actually pretty watchable. We'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, Superman 3, pretty painful to watch.
Yeah.
And rewatching it, it's funny. I was yelling at the screen. So Richard Pryor is a computer programmer, right? And he finds out a way to like program the computers at work that every time there's a transaction with a fraction of a cent, to take that fraction of the cent and give it to him in his bank account, right? And I'm sitting there watching it, screaming at the screen, that's the plot to Office Space. And I thought you called me out on it and said, yeah, they acknowledge that.
Yeah, no, they give credit.
Credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
So anyway, but Superman 3 was a huge step down. Now, Superman 3 barely eked by. It didn't lose money, but it was a big financial disappointment because they made it as a comedy. Tonally, it didn't fit. It, like I said, I ended up watching about 40 minutes of it. It felt like a Richard Pryor movie that, oh, by the way, Superman is in.
Yeah.
Very strange. And then after Superman 3, they actually tried to do a spin-off, Supergirl. Have you ever seen Supergirl?
Yeah, I know exactly who plays Supergirl. She looks great as Supergirl. But I remember watching Supergirl as a kid, and I really can't remember much of it. Besides who played her and all that stuff.
The only thing I remember seeing the pictures of her and the trailers, and I thought she was absolutely beautiful.
She is gorgeous.
Whoever they cast as Supergirl is
Helen Slater.
okay. She is late gate.
Beautiful, yeah.
Super
Legend of Billie Jean King.
Okay.
Legend of Billie Jean, not Billie Jean King. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right.
One of the must-see 80s movies is The Legend of Billie Jean Ferris Pair.
I have not seen it.
Which, obviously, she stars in with Christian Slater.
No. Any
nice.
relation?
See, the strange part is no relation between those two. Yeah. I always thought they were brother and sister because I loved that movie as a kid.
Right.
So I went around just saying, oh, yeah, that's Christian
The
Slater.
Slater siblings.
Yeah.
It wasn't true. Because you see a lot of that. Like the Batemans, Justine Bateman and the other guy.
Yeah.
Jason and
Jason Bateman, the least popular one. But, yeah, you had a lot of that back in the day.
A lot of nepotism in Hollywood, but no, not her. So that movie actually did very poorly, Supergirl. That did, it's in the universe of Superman. They tried to get Christopher Reeve to be in it. He did not want to be in it, probably rightfully so. And so after Superman 3 underperforming and after Supergirl underperforming, the French producers that had the rights to it, they tried, or successfully, they pawned those rights off to Canon Films. And Canon Films is who we must blame for Superman 4 looking like it does.
Do you know how much money they sold it for?
No,
rights?
I don't.
They sold the rights for Superman and sequels $5 million.
Oh. So all Superman on film rights for $5
mil.
That's how little faith they had in Superman from that point moving forward. And what's hilarious is Canon ends up losing those rights right after this movie we're about to discuss. So before we get into Superman 4, Superman 1, Tim, any thoughts or experiences with Superman 1 you want to share?
I remember just loving it. Sometimes I get Superman 1 and Superman 2 confused. It's been a while since I've revisited them. But which one has Zod in it?
That's two.
Two. Yeah, 2's the best one.
2's the best one. I agree with that. And I mean, since 1 and 2 were produced at the same time, they're kind of the same movie.
Yeah.
They share scenes. So, that's why I said either one is great. But yeah, as a kid, I was obsessed with Superman. I can say this, as an adult, I find Superman to be a pretty boring superhero.
Oh, 100%. He's the most boring superhero of all time.
Yeah, I mean, he's just too much of a goody-goody. He's too powerful.
Too overpowered,
He's
yeah.
overpowered. Like, where's the danger? Where's the peril? I mean, I guess there's danger of people around him, but he's basically a god, as we'll see in Superman 4. He has the powers of a god. And it's like, okay, so, you know.
Yeah. What are the stakes now?
What are the stakes?
You can basically do anything, you know, no big deal. Nobody's faster. I mean, he's just a little bit slower than the Flash, you know. Say it's about get
Right.
Flash a small advantage as far as speed, but strength wise, I mean, Superman, you know,
He's unmatched.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, and what's funny is if you look at the early comic books, he was just a Superman, right? That's why in the tagline that we all know is like, can jump over tall buildings in a single bound.
Yeah, because he didn't fly.
'Cause he didn't
initially.
fly.
Yeah, he didn't initially fly.
He was just a strong guy, which is why his outfit is actually modeled after like old-timey strongmen, right? They would wear tights like that. And yeah, he was just a strong guy. So he was faster than a train. He could stop a bullet. He could jump over a building, but he couldn't fly. He certainly couldn't go around the sun and turn back time and any of the other things we've seen Superman do.
What about X-ray vision? Was that an original power?
Probably not, but they started expanding his powers pretty quickly. So what do you have any thoughts about engagement with the Superman movies early on?
I liked him, but I mean, he was, to me, completely overshadowed by, you know, Batman. Obviously, because the '89 Batman, and yeah, so my obsession was all Batman. But I did, you know, respect and liked, those first two, you know, Superman movies. You know,
Yeah, I remember Superman 3 was really big on VHS. That's where I first seen it. I was like, man, this is awful. But I remember the displays in the theaters and the VHS places, like Superman holding Richard Pryor.
Yeah,
It was like
it's-
3D, you know, 9-foot stands of that exist somewhere. So, you know, yeah, it was a big movie. It was hyped up. So I can understand why when people seen that bomb, they're like, oh man, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they just thought that the air had already gone out of that balloon and they were going to cut bait and sell the rights off to Cannon Group. And we'll talk about Cannon Group in 1 second. But before we do that, let's talk about Christopher Reeve as Superman. So we recently talked about Jim Carrey in The Mask on another episode, but how perfect is the casting of Christopher Reeve as Superman? I mean, talk about the perfect person to play that role. He's tall, he's strong, he's handsome, but he also has kind of like this gentle, good quality to him because Superman is a Boy Scout. He doesn't have that edge that, you know, Batman has or some of these other superheroes have. And Christopher Reeve just really embodied all of that. Rewatching 3 and 4 for this podcast, I was just really blown away. I was like, dude, this guy is Superman.
yeah, and he's got great. Like his little physical comedy humor.
as Clark Kent,
His Clark
funny.
Kent is really good.
Yes.
To where, yeah, I think he did, you know, good job. 'Cause that's the big joke. How do you not tell just by glasses?
Right.
But like he was so good at being that kind of clumsy, that you would never think that guy's Superman. You know, like
Yeah, and that's a great point. His acting as Clark Kent was, I mean, he was acting as two different characters. And, you know, was doing some heavy lifting there.
yeah.
He's got to turn it on and off. Of course, you know, we all know they shot all the Superman scenes and then Clark Kent scenes, and then when he's trying to do like they know each other, but they keep missing each other.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like that always works. Even in this fourth one, I feel like that was the best scene in the movies when he's trying to
Yeah, they did that
Mariel
well.
Hemingway and Margot Kidder. They're trying to.
It's in my notes. We're coming up to that one. Yeah, no, but you know, and there have been other Supermen on film that are good. I think Brandon Routh, am I saying that right? Or Roush?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon Roth.
Who I think was dating what's his name at the time, so I think that was a conflict of interest.
He was dating Bryan Singer?
Was
I think so,
he?
yeah.
Oh, is that how he got the role?
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I feel like they were. At the
Okay.
time.
So
What do you know
Do
about
we
that?
do we know? Is this an alleged thing, or do we
I don't
need to
know. I
put
feel like
quotes
that.
to-
I feel like
I don't
when
know.
that-
Is it? I don't know.
Because I was excited about, because first off, I mean, this is still when Bryan Singer's flying high.
Oh, Bryan
yeah.
Singer,
Yeah.
the usual
Superhero
superhero
And,
movie.
Yeah.
And the
X-Men 1 and 2.
And X-Men, yeah. So, I mean,
really
it's
good.
like, okay, somebody's going to do Superman, maybe some justice. So he's excited about it. Then it's just like the Superman was just horrible. I mean, I only remember seeing that guy anything before then or after then. I think it's like his rookie movie was.
Yeah, they wanted, because I think they were kind of going for, where you didn't associate that actor with some other roles, where you saw him as Superman.
And Christopher Reeve was basically unknown when he was cast as Superman. Like, I pulled up his IMDb. He had kicked around in a couple TV shows playing like bit parts of the week, but he was an unknown.
Yeah, he was a theater guy,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Oh, that's why he's able to pull off that clumsy stuff so well.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can see wanting to cast an unknown as Superman, like you said, so there's no baggage and people associate with him. And Brandon Routh, I thought the physicality he did well. It's just that movie is terrible. I mean, just the whole fact that he's like, the plot is very weird. Isn't it like a real estate investment? It's kind of like the core plot of that.
He has a son, which Kevin Smith clearly explained how that can't be possible.
Right. Only Wonder Woman has a womb strong enough to carry the seed of Superman.
Yeah.
So, it was just misguided. And then, as I said in the cold open, I do not like the Zack Snyder Superman movies. Was there a sequel to that? I can't even remember.
Not officially, because there was the dawn of that, which
Yeah.
isn't really a sequel. It's like its own thing.
Right.
I mean, I like him. I think he's a good Superman.
Okay, Henry
I think
Cavill is well
good.
cast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's good. I do like him. But like one thing that I liked that was done in the first Superman verse this is dealing with the death of Jonathan Kent, his dad. Where in the original, what I really liked is that he, has like a heart attack, and it's like Superman can do anything, but he couldn't save his dad.
Yeah.
That's something he could not do.
Right.
So I thought that was, gives it, he could do everything, but he couldn't do this. Whereas then in Man of Steel, they kind of have a similar moment, but it's like the tornado or whatever's going, and he could have saved him, but his dad, Kevin Costner, was like, "Don't
Very
do it, son.
stoic, very
Just
stoic.
Don't do it."
Very
Which
stoic.
I didn't like that as much. Where it's like I liked that he couldn't do anything to save.
Yeah.
In the original, that was my hot take.
But the thing about, we were talking about Amy Adams a couple episodes ago from Coincidence 2, where she does the, eyes open, almost crying, but doesn't, you know what I'm saying?
right.
There's two male actors that's good at that, and they go to that wheelhouse and they hit a home run every time. One is Tom Cruise. Nobody can do that better than Cruise besides maybe Costner. Costner gets that look in his eye where it looks like he's about to cry, but he doesn't. He's making that decision, looking stoic. And I mean, I think that's the best scene in that new Superman, when Superman's got to decide to save his dad or blow his cover. Which I think's an easy choice, but it's like, Dad, you have to get over it. Like, I think the cat's coming out of the bag one day.
Yeah.
So that's always bothered me. But the way this he just holds him off, says don't do it, and just accept his fate. I kind of dig that scene. Plus, it's got Costner in it. Costner does that role so well, man. It's like, how Tom Hanks has a role that he kills every time. Costner kills that role every time he plays it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like the Zack Snyder movies. I just don't like the tone.
Any Zack Snyder movie. You don't like his...
Oh, no.
He probably made the best remake of all time, Dawn of the Dead.
Okay, yeah. No, I love Dawn of the Dead, and I actually like The Watchmen.
Yeah, Watchmen's good.
Dude, Watchmen's amazing.
I enjoy it.
You talk about a movie that's better with a longer extended cut. Yeah,
the longer cut
the
is better.
ultimate, what's it called? The ultimate cut? Yeah, I love it.
And I know that a lot of people talk trash about it. So when I heard that he was doing Superman after Watchmen, I was like, dude, this guy, yeah, he's the guy. And 300, of course. So, I mean, I'm not saying I don't like Zack Snyder movies. I'm saying I don't like the Zack Snyder DC universe. And I'm very happy to hear that they're rebooting it with James Gunn. That's the guy.
Everybody's happy about that.
Everybody's happy about that. That's the guy who gets superhero movies. Because that's the problem with the Zack Snyder movies is at least with the Christopher Nolan movies, it's like he took a superhero and he put him in the real world. And it worked, but like the Zack Snyder movies, it's not the real world, but it's just this mean, dark, dystopian world, but it's populated with superheroes. And it just, to me, the tone never landed. A superhero movie, Marvel gets it, needs to be kind of light, kind of fun, or, interesting if you take it and try to put it in the real world, like the Joker movie, which I know you love, the DC.
Oh, yeah, it's number one.
So it's like, kind of do one or the other, but putting it in this dark, gritty, dystopian, like it's just not these properties, and certainly not Superman. Superman needs to be squeaky clean, Boy Scout, like Christopher Reeve did and did perfectly.
Yeah.
Can I tell you the best Superman movie of all time?
What?
Brightburn.
Oh, yeah.
James Gunn.
He did that too.
Didn't he
I was
write
saying,
it? I thought,
holy
didn't he
shit.
write or
Super.
produce? No,
Wait,
I think
Brightburn he was involved with?
I'm IMDb.
wow.
James Gunn did Brightburn. I'm going to walk away right now.
He didn't direct it, but I think that's either written or produced.
Well done.
Double check.
For those of you that
Double check.
aren't aware of the movie Brightburn, it basically poses the
great.
question: what if Superman were evil and used his powers for evil instead of good?
Okay, screenplay by Brian Gunn and Mark Gunn, produced by James Gunn.
Okay.
So you had a hand in it.
You had a hand in
I mean,
it.
it's and I never looked at this before, but I mean, IMDb 6.1, just watched 68%. It's the first time I ever heard of that site, and Rotten Tomatoes is 57.
That's too low. That movie is good.
I've never seen it.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's got Elizabeth Banks in it, and she's so beautiful, dude.
Oh,
I love me so. Oh yeah, the other day we
She does a
talked.
great job in it.
Yeah, she's
strong. I mean, a very strong dramatic role in that. Both parents play. That's why you got two, gifted actors doing that, because I mean that's hard to pull off, and it's scary and it's good.
It's good. No, Brightburn is.
Yeah,
good,
it's
dude.
Gremlins level of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh
Nice.
shit. The audience score is only 67% on.
You guys are sleeping on Brightburn, just like you're sleeping on Superman 4. So let's move forward into Superman 4. Before that, I just have to say, I love this this quote. So, in his book, Somewhere in Heaven, Christopher Reeve was quoted as saying, "Superman 4 was a catastrophe from start to finish. That failure was a huge blow to my career." In interviews following the sequel's release, he ruled out another return and pointed to the many issues with Quest for Peace as this reason. In 1989, in an interview for the BBC, he was asked if he had made one too many Superman films, and he said, "To be fair, I made two too many Superman films."
Yeah, fair enough.
And he decried that the sequels had ripped off audiences. So, Superman 4. In fact, another line from his autobiography that I laughed at, he said, "The less that we say about Superman 4, the better."
Yeah,
well,
I did
today
see
we're
that.
talking Superman 4.
Yeah.
What went wrong? First of all, Superman 4 is not that bad. It's really not. It's just it didn't have the resources that it needed to be good. And the reason for that is Canon Films.
Yeah.
So let's set up Canon Films. So Canon Films came up in like the maybe late 60s.
They got some jewels though.
Oh yeah, in the 70s and the 80s, if it was a low-budget action film, if it starred Chuck Norris, it was made by Canon.
Yeah.
If I had the word force,
Force,
action,
yeah. Action,
Gods are
Octagon.
Yeah.
The Octagon is fucking great. If you want to see a movie that just says, "Hey, we're gonna take an idea way out of the box in left field and make a movie out of it," it's Chuck Norris in The Octagon.
Oh yeah, they were famous for kind of making up movies on the spot.
And the ones they did with Stallone are good. Cobra.
Oh,
Big
that
Great
came-
Stallone,
alright.
and Out Cold with Brian Bosworth. I hope these are all Canon films. I feel like they are though.
They probably are, because we're going to get to a Stallone film in a moment that's kind of changed the tide. But, Canon Films was very successful making these very low-budget movies that did very well in the foreign markets, mostly action. But, of course, their eyes started to get a little too big for their stomachs, right? So they're like, they aspired to, we want to play with the big boys. We're sick of these low-budget action movies. We want to start producing major motion pictures. So they started taking on investors. They started taking on debt to finance bigger and bigger productions. But the problem is they had a series of missteps. In fact, for the fiscal years for 1985 and 6, so the 2 years going into 87 when they make Superman, they lost $90 million between those 2 years. 90 million in the black. Yeah.
Fresh.
So, but they really pin their hopes on Superman, right? So this is us. We're finally going to legitimize ourselves. We're finally going to play with the big boys. And in 1987, they came out with 3 real big swings at the bat. And unfortunately, they struck out all 3 times. Now, the first is a Sylvester Stallone movie. We mentioned it on this show before. It is a sports movie, but it's the sport that you wouldn't think of normally. What's a Sylvester Stallone sports movie? Made in 1987, a sport that you wouldn't think of as a sport. He's a truck driver.
Oh, over the top.
Over the top.
That movie failed?
That movie failed. And I think...
Great soundtrack.
I think they overpaid Stallone.
Yeah.
Because when I heard that the budget was huge, I'm like, it's a movie about arm wrestling. How could the budget be huge?
The kid's way too whiny.
Yeah. Well, and doesn't he literally shift gears with his hand as he's arm wrestling?
Yeah.
How are the biological mechanics of that? How do you shift gears with your arm wrestling?
You know, if he turns around my hat backwards, is when he knows it's business. You know what I'm saying? There's a scene where some guy drinks motor oil before the fight, like chugs. I'll say it's actually his. I'm not bullshitting.
spit my soda.
I'm not bullshitting this. This is not pivot up trying to be
David,
funny.
we need to go see Over the Top.
Dude, you never
I've
seen
never seen it.
There's a poster of Over the Top of my house, bro. Are you kidding me? I'll send you a picture of it. I got Over the Top represented on the wall. I got
That is
several
amazing.
Canon films.
That is
I think they did American Ninja movies too.
Oh,
They
yes.
did, yeah.
Anything with Ninja the title. They were obsessed
Dude,
with
they made some jewels. And of course Cobra with Sylvester Stallone's great.
Yeah.
What was the other three stinkers?
Oh, no. So these were the three. So the
Yeah.
first was Over the Top. The second was Superman Quest for Peace. Seriously underperformed. And then the third one is The Masters of the Universe.
Oh yeah, that was
He-Man the
Yeah.
movie.
That was a shit turd.
It was. So He-Man the movie, just because we're never going to be able to talk about this on this podcast because it never had a sequel.
Sadly.
Sadly. All right. So when I was 8 years old, I was obsessed with He-Man.
Yeah.
He-Man was my jam. The problem with He-Man is he was kind of a flash in the pan. Like, I want to say he got big in like 82, 83, 84, 85. So 4 years. And for those 4 years, dude, he was king of the boys' toys, all right? He even outsold Star Wars action figures.
Yeah.
He was a hot property. So I could see why Canon spent the money, acquired the rights, put a lot of money into it. But by the time the movie came out in 1987, the He-Man ship had already sailed. No one cared about He-Man. And while they were in production, they severely slashed the budget, which is why they're like, we got to get He-Man to Earth. And you get, which is the last place He-Man should be. So yeah, obviously in the original budget, it was going to be on Eternia the whole time. And then they're like, we got to slash this budget. Let's get him to Earth. And then, now it's just He-Man on Earth having wacky adventures with like a couple Eternia scenes in the beginning and the end. So, and it was, Dolph Lundgren. I love the guy. He's awesome as Draco in Rocky.
I must break you.
Yeah.
He was terrible as He-Man.
Yeah, not a good choice.
Not a good choice.
He plays a lot of great roles in he has pretty good chops in Creed 2. You seen Creed 2? Where
I have
Creed
not.
finds his Argo son?
not.
Oh, damn, do yourself. The Creed movies are just as good as the Rocky movies,
I've heard they're good, so I guess
They're
those will
good on
never
a
show
different
up
level.
on this show. Yeah.
Because Michael B. Jordan just has way more of a dramatic range.
Well,
than
Michael B.
Rocky,
Jordan is an
yeah.
amazing actor.
Yeah, so I mean, you get those real rangy and it hits you in the feels way more. So yeah, I highly recommend the Creed movies. I can't wait to watch the third one.
I didn't know he came back as Draco years later. That's funny.
the second Creed movie is Drago is
Oh, it's
training
the
his son.
sons, right? Yeah.
And it's got such a great subplot because after he lost that fight, he got into a funk, and what's her name?
Adrian?
Not Adrian. No, the Russian lady played by Brigitte Nielsen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dude left, just abandoned. She was pregnant, had the kid, then just after she had the kid, just left him. You know what I'm saying? Just left him. They were like working on this old gym like Rocky was,
Yeah.
And then so she comes back when he's like winning a bunch of fights and getting ready to fight the American. Then she comes back in and tries to get back in good with him. And that kind of was like a way, I'm kind of killing the story.
So wait, Creed 2 has both Dolph Lundgren and Brigitte Nielsen?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Wow, dang.
And it's done so well. I mean,
right.
it's done Cobra Kai season 1 style, where it's just like so good.
that is good.
Are you a Cobra Kai fan?
Love Cobra
Yeah,
Kai.
me too. Love Cobra
Love it.
Kai. Yeah. I mean, they need to end it now because
Yeah, I'm
last
hoping this is
season-
the last.
Last season's a little bit
this
too
one,
much.
yeah.
You think they'll bring back Swank for the
That
last
would
one?
be cool,
It
right?
would be real cool because
Yeah.
you got to be like
She's
somebody
in
else
the
that knows
universe.
Miyagi though. You
Yeah.
know? I always thought she was going to come back and fight that older. I was like, oh, they made this badass older, Terry Silver, Asian lady. And they're going to have they're going to look up to fight her, but then they made her weak.
I just realized real quick, I gotta see what the box office was for this. I didn't put that. Oops.
Oh, for Superman 4?
Yeah, do you have it?
15 mil.
That was the budget. Did it?
That was the box office. But it was like 17,
You're
16.
right, 17. Okay.
Yeah, I made 50. I don't know, worldwide, domestic
No,
was 15.
but all right,
yeah.
good. Thank you. Okay, so that was Canon Films. They were having a lot of trouble. So, like I said, going into 87, they were already in trouble. They had lost $90 million cumulatively for the past 2 years. They had already kind of put these 3 films into production. And with both Masters of the Universe and Superman 4, when they were already in production and like the ship was starting to sink, they slashed both budgets going into productions, and both of those movies suffered horribly as a result. So Superman 4 came out, like I said, 87, produced by the Cannon Group, distributed by Warner Brothers. So that's why you still see Warner Brothers in the beginning. It had a budget. It was originally supposed to be budgeted at like 32 million, which is kind of what Superman 3 was. But when it went into production, they literally slashed it like in half. It ended up with a budget of 16 to 17 million. So, I mean, obviously the special effects are going to suffer. And that is the biggest gripe that everyone has about this movie. The special effects are terrible.
And that was something that word of mouth couldn't save you. Go ahead.
Oh, did you see who was originally slated to direct it? Who they like had initially brought on board, but there was butted heads with Christopher Reeve, and then he left.
I was about to get to the director, but no, who was supposed to direct it?
Wes Craven.
Oh, shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, they were talking to Wes Craven.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
Would have been much better. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, speaking of director, so this is the first time on this podcast we have a returning director. A sequel that's not equal, Sidney J. Furie. You remember what he directed?
No, I didn't.
Iron Eagles 2.
Oh, okay. I can see you doing that. I can see you doing it.
And what's hilarious is we brought up on that episode that this was his follow-up to Iron Eagles 2 because both movies deal with Russians and Americans getting over their problems, you know, learning to work together, solving the Cold War. That was obviously very much on this man's mind. And so I thought it was funny that he had these two movies back to back that tried to like solve the Cold War in like 86, 87, when we all thought we were going to die.
It was a real fear.
Yeah,
not fake.
It was not at all fake. We all thought we were going to die, and it was on Sidney Furie's mind. So Sidney Furie, yes, he directed Iron Eagles 2 from the previous episode and is now our first returning director.
Nice.
He ended up directing Superman 4. And he ended up butting heads a lot with Christopher Reeve as well. So I don't know, maybe Christopher Reeve was really difficult to work with.
Yeah, I think he, at this point, was getting more control, because I know he has story credit. I think even some screenplay credit as well.
He has story by credit.
Yeah.
So Christopher Reeve, after the failure of Superman 3, and remember, the French producers already bailed on this. Well, Christopher Reeve also was kind of like, maybe Superman has run his course. So that seemed to be very much in the air at the time. But Canon, like I said, this was their bid at legitimacy. This was their bid to like take on the studio's Superman. I mean, major motion picture time. So they went to Reeve and they were like, we will pay you, which is funny because at the time, this was a huge salary, $6 million. So of the shooting budget that it ended up shooting at, Christopher Reeve got 1/3 of the shooting budget.
Nice.
1/3 of the shooting budget went to Christopher Reeve. They're like, we will pay you $6 million. And he said, I'll do it if you also fund another movie that I really want to make. And I think he even directed it. It was called Street Smart. And you actually saw Street Smart.
Yeah, I seen it. I seen it on VHS. I feel like it was a good movie.
Well, it was his
good.
passion project that no one was willing to fund, but he told Cannon, he's like, look, if you fund Street Smart, which is apparently some gritty drama about a newspaper reporter who makes up a story about a murder of a prostitute because, you know, he was due a story, like, a deadline he was up against, and he didn't have a story, so he made one up. And I guess the details of the murder that he made up were so close to the details of a murder that had happened that the people involved thought that somehow he knew what was going on, and it, like, involved him in this web of intrigue. So
As a gritty drama.
As a gritty drama.
That sounds like kind of a fun comedy.
It could be a comedy.
Yeah, especially with his comedic chops.
had the
that could have
wrong
been-
tone.
Yeah, right? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe if they had done it as a comedy, actually, now that I say it out loud, it does sound like a comedy.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to have someone remake Street Smarts as a comedy.
Yeah.
Like when the videos of the news reporters describing the suspect and it ends up looking like this. It's just like that. So we know it can happen theoretically. Yeah.
That was also an early screen credit for Morgan Freeman.
Oh, wow.
So there you go. Anyway, so he said, look, you give me $6 million, you make Street Smarts, I will reappear in this film. And so they did. But once it went into production, they cut the budget in half. So obviously, off the bat, the first critique that anyone's going to say about this movie, and I cannot defend it in this respect, is the special effects are really bad.
A lot of reuse,
Lot of reuse shots.
footage.
Yeah.
Him flying, just keep copy and paste.
It's funny that you bring that up. So there is a documentary about Canon Films, and I rewatched the Superman 4 segment for this podcast. It's called Electric Boogaloo, The Story of Canon Films. It's available on YouTube. And they have a little segment where they took all the shots of like Superman flying to camera with all the different backgrounds and they laid them all outside. It gets used like 6 times. So yeah, they had to reuse shots. The mats look terrible. The coverage is really weird. Early on, there's a scene where he like stops a subway train because the conductor has a heart attack and hits the lever and it goes flying down the thing and he goes flying after it and the composites look terrible. And then when it's time to stop it, you can tell that he just held his hand out and they pushed him on a dolly to push him up to the subway car to stop it. It's just really bad, like laughably bad special effects. So that's really what killed this film and really what turned people off. But the plot, and we'll get into the plot, is actually pretty good for a superhero movie, right? This is a movie that knew how to make a superhero movie in that, and this is what was really missing from 3, it has like a good antagonist, rather. It has a baddie. Now, Nuclear Man, he might have looked pretty cheesy, but it's part of the 80s charm. It's part of the 80s charm. So let's go through the plot, some of the key scenes, and deconstruct Superman 4.
Oh, just one more
Production note, yeah.
Canon film thing I thought was funny. So they had another superhero lined up in the chamber, that franchise they were going to do, but because this failed, they ended up canceling that project, and that was Spider-Man.
Oh, right. Yes, as I wear the shirt, but as I recall from another podcast that kind of analyzed the canon script, Spider-Man was supposed to be a ninja. Because they didn't get Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So thank God Superman 4 tanked and Canon Films did not go on to make a Spider-Man film, because I don't think Raimi would have gotten a budget to do one later.
I mean, this would have been probably around the time James Cameron. Was it attached? Was he going to be attached to Canon? What they were going to do?
No, the movie rights to Spider-Man.
Yeah, it
really
goes
weird.
all over the place.
But I do know
a long time.
For a long time.
Yeah.
It took a long time to get those rights sorted out. But I do remember that Canon Films was supposed to do a Spider-Man movie, and apparently on a podcast where they read the Canon script, he was going to be a ninja. And basically,
That's what they did well, though.
You know, they know
it's
ninjas.
in their wheelhouse. It's in their wheelhouse. So, so let's talk about some of the key scenes from Superman 4. And it just does have a cheesy charm. First of all, I love Christopher Reeve so much that, he kind of carries the movie in that respect. So the movie opens up with a Russian cosmonaut. He's doing a spacewalk on his, little space pod. They're up in space. And a piece of debris comes and knocks him off. Very Gravity-esque, right? So he's like tumbling through space. And what I thought was hilarious is like 10 seconds after he gets knocked off the thing, here comes Superman flying up like, oh, I'll save you. I was like, Jesus, how did he know within 10 seconds that up in space, there's a cosmonaut, he's in danger, he flies up, he makes it. What's hilarious is as he's flying through space, his cape is billowing in the wind.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, apparently the special effects guys didn't know there's no wind in space. So he saves the cosmonaut, puts him back in the capsule, and then speaks to him in Russian. He should not be able to speak in space. You need air to carry your sound waves. But Superman knows Russian. And I think that this is, again, Sidney Fury showing, hey guys, the Russians are people too. Superman speaks Russian. Because the plot of this film is very reconciliatory. Like, hey, let's get along with the Russians.
Great scene. I like this movie.
Other than I was laughing that,
it's like, all right, kind of cool set piece. All right, I was on board.
I was on board.
And the special effects for that were decent. It was probably shot early in production because
before the budget got slashed.
Yeah, like as he flies up. Other than I thought it was funny that his cape was billowing, and like I said, he spoke in space. And we'll get to this movie's misunderstanding of the physics of space later. But yeah, I thought it was a fun scene. And that's when I got on board with this movie. I'm like, okay, this movie knows the tone right. It's like fun, it's adventure, it doesn't take itself seriously, but it's not also winky ironic like some movies. It's like an earnest, sincere Superman movie that just ran out of money. But that's the opening scene. So now we're back on his farm in Smallville, and it's for sale. He says he doesn't want to sell it to like a mega corp developer. They're going to put condos there or something, very 80s. He goes into the barn while he's there, and he's got his ship there, and there's a recording from his mom, and she's like, "Hey, Clark, don't forget this MacGuffin crystal. I put it here in your escape pod, and it will give you power, but you can only use it once. So make sure you use it wisely." So I'm watching it going, all right, well, obviously he's going to lose his powers later and have to use the MacGuffin crystal. So they set up that in that scene. And then we get back to Lex Luthor. And Lex Luthor is sorely missing from Superman 3. Gene Hackman, Lex Luthor, did not appear in Superman 3. So I was happy to see him back because he is chewing up the scenery as Lex Luthor. You can tell that Gene Hackman enjoys playing Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I think he had fun.
Yeah, I mean, I love Gene Hackman.
Yeah, he's
I'm a
great.
big Gene Hackman.
Yeah, he's great.
Hoosiers is my favorite Gene Hackman movie. Love Hoosiers. Great job.
He's just got amazing screen presence. You can tell he's having fun in the role. When I see a great actor having fun in the role, I always just enjoy seeing them work. His nephew is played by John Cryer. As Ducky himself,
Ducky, yeah.
as a very teen, Gen X-y teen, and in this scene he breaks out his uncle from the prison chain gang by rolling up in like this ridiculous
ridiculous
Cadillac
speaker system,
Speaker
horn thing.
horns
I was
that-
like,
Like it's a
what?
1920s phonograph system.
Yeah. He rolls up in like the most ridiculous Cadillac you have ever seen, and the prison guards are very taken.
You love it.
They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, look at this car." And he's like, "Would you like to climb on in?" And they climb on in, and he's got a remote control, close the doors, drives it off a cliff. Of course, there's a shot saying that the guards live, and then that's what causes the distraction so he can break out his uncle from jail. Yeah, again, a funny scene, a charming scene. This movie knows what it is.
Yeah.
It still doesn't feel cheesy yet as far as like cheap. It hasn't quite gotten there yet. We'll get there in a second. So the next scene is really where you feel the special effects, and I brought it up already. It's where Clark Kent is meeting Lois Lane in a subway station. They're going into work. She steps onto the train, but then the doors close right before Superman can get on, or Clark Kent at the moment can get on. It goes down the track, and he's like, "Oh, I'll get the next train, whatever." And then the conductor has a heart attack. The train is now, rushing off, and Superman yells out, "Help me!" or Lois Lane yells out, "Help me," and Superman can hear it back on the platform. Now, the shot that I thought was absolutely hilarious is he's on a subway platform. He turns, and there's a phone booth right next to him on the subway platform.
Yeah.
I've never seen a phone booth down underground in the subway platform. So he jumps in there, he turns into Superman. And it's just funny because, like, to show the runaway train, they obviously put a camera down the track and just kind of rolled it through and then just sped it up. But it looks like a Keystone Cops movie out of the 20s. It just feels very sped up. And then there's a very poorly composited shot of him flying after the train. And then, like I said, there's totally a moment where you can tell they just put him on a dolly, had him do this, and then pushed him up to the train. And he stopped it. And I was just like, oh, Jesus. All right. Yeah, special effects are feeling kind of chintzy. And so he saves the train. And so now, cut to the next scene. We're at the Daily Planet, and I thought this was kind of a fun touch, but the Daily Planet has been bought out by like this kind of tabloid, sleazy.
It might have been the time of Ted Turner.
Yeah, right? Like a Ted Turner, kind of a Rupert Murdoch character where he's like, I'm going to sell newspapers and I want salacious headlines. They're going to sell papers, and I took over this paper.
The invention of clickbait, really.
Clickbait!
Yeah,
Thank
before
you.
clickbait, when this guy.
Sensationalism.
Yeah.
Sensationalism. Now, what I thought is hilarious is the clickbait that he wants to sell is like, world is on the brink of nuclear war. And like Clark Kent is like, well, sir, that's not true. We can't say that. That'll exacerbate the situation. He's like, I don't care, kids. I'm going to sell papers. Well, in the very next scene, the president declares we're at war with Russia, basically. So I'm like, well, I guess that's not sensationalism. That's reporting the news at that point. But anyway, so the paper magnate has a daughter played by Mariel Hemingway,
It's a big deal.
Gorgeous, yeah.
who is absolutely stunningly beautiful. Not a great actress, but
okay. Okay.
Serviceable.
Yeah, I thought she would have had a bigger career. She really didn't have a lot, did she?
She's a big deal there for a while.
Yeah,
I did not see her in that Jonathan, or who did Star 80? It wasn't Jonathan Demme.
Choreographer.
Oh, you're right. It was
Fosse. Ryan Fosse or something.
about the playmate who got murdered by her pimp boyfriend. Have you ever seen Star 80? I think it's on HBO right now.
No.
Dorothy something. She was a playmate in like 83.
Yeah, I remember it on Current Affair and stuff.
Yeah.
Like all the tabloid news.
Oh yeah, it was very salacious. She got murdered by her boyfriend pimp, and they made a movie about it. And Meryl Hemingway played Dorothy. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but I don't know. She's the love interest, so she immediately zeroes in on Clark Kent. She's like, "Ooh, this guy." And Christopher Reeve is a beautiful man.
Very handsome, beautiful man. Very handsome.
I mean, if I'm a woman and I'm working at the paper, I'm going after Christopher Reeve as well. And Lois Lane. Now, I had forgotten that she forgot who Superman was because she's like telling Lois Lane, "Hey, I want Clark," and she's like, "Oh, go get him." And I'm like, "Oh, all right. Well, that's going to create a situation later." The scene you mentioned, the double date, that's coming up. So anyway, she's the daughter of the paper magnate. She's put in charge of editorial. So she immediately says, "Well, I'm going to work with Clark Kent and like assign all of his stories." And then we cut to a bunch of kids in a classroom watching a news conference. And the president's like, "Yeah, we're basically at war with Russia. Like, F these guys. We're going to launch the bombs any second now." And so the kids are like, "Oh no, what are we going to do?" And the teacher says, "Well, maybe you should write your congressman." And I'm sitting there thinking, what are you going to write the congressman? "Hey, congressman, please don't shoot missiles at Russia." Like, that's her big go-to. And then there's the one kid in the corner is like, "No, don't write the congressman. You know, you should write Superman. He can actually do something." So this will be a major plot point later. So, okay, the little kid has the bright idea. I'm going to write Superman. So he writes a letter to Superman. "Hey, Superman, stop the world from ending." Cut to, we're at a museum, and there's a Superman exhibit dedicated to Superman at this museum. And you've got one single strand of Superman's hair that he donated to the exhibit, and it is holding up a 1,000-pound weight. And Lex Luthor and John Cryer show up. I can't remember Ducky's name, so we're either going to call him Ducky or John Cryer this whole show. So Lex Luthor and Ducky show up. They smash the glass case. They cut this hair with bolt cutters. I'm like,
I figured you wouldn't have been able to cut through it.
That's what lost me.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, the whole point of that exhibit is how strong his hair is. They just cut it with bolt cutters.
Yeah.
And what I thought was actually a pretty interesting plot point, especially for 1987, is Lex Luthor is explaining to Ducky, like, with this newfangled DNA, I'm going to use this hair and I'm going to clone Superman. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, you have found a plot device that will give us an antagonist who's equally matched to Superman. Well done, and especially very forward-thinking using DNA technology in 1987.
Can I just say,
Yeah.
the watching this movie in the 2023, how relevant a lot of these things are with the clickbait sensationalism,
Fake news,
we have a moral obligation to tell the news, like, that doesn't sell. We're just gonna say whatever to sell, you know. And also, you have the geopolitical tension, you know, us versus Russia. You got, and also, dealt with a lot of heavy themes of, in the beginning with this house, the foreclosure thing with, is that urbanization?
Yes.
Whereas the, shopping.
Because it says he doesn't want to sell it to like a developer. He wants to sell it to a farmer.
And we're conglomerates are just buying up all the land, and everywhere is a new strip mall. And now houses are just bought by a corporation, buys up all the houses. So I feel like, watching them, I'm like, man, a lot of our today's problems were like...
Superman was ahead of his time, man.
Yeah,
He's preaching the truth.
dealing with a lot. And then, we're about to get into the geopolitical side.
And not to mention cloning ethics, right?
Yeah.
Because that's something we discussed, the ethics behind cloning humans.
Yeah.
And so, he's like, hey, we're going to... And of course, Ducky doesn't understand DNA at all, because I'm like thinking, dude, most people in 1987 probably don't understand DNA. So he like explains it, no, with this hair, we can actually make someone like Superman using his genetic material. So anyway, speaking of sensationalism and clickbait, what I love is, so the newspaper brings out, I'll call him Timmy. So they bring out Timmy. He's the little boy who wrote to Superman, "Hey, Superman, save the world." And they're like, "All right, Timmy, what would you like to say to Superman?" And he's like, "Hey, Superman, could you please save the world so it doesn't end?" And they're like, "Well done, Timmy, well done." "Well, Superman, if you have anything to say." "Nothing." And then they run a paper the next day saying, "Superman tells kid drop dead."
Drop dead, kid.
Yeah, it's great.
You see?
So I was like, oh, that's actually pretty funny. And, Clark Kent's obviously there at the paper. He's getting riled up. "You guys can't print this." And then what's hilarious is that this then causes him to go into a montage where he's moping around his apartment. He's moping around the Fortress of Solitude. Do I save the world? Do I let down Timmy? What do I do? And then he goes over to Lois Lane's apartment. Now this scene is wild, dude. The Lois Lane flight. So Clark Kent, he's moping at his apartment and Lois comes to him. I guess there's some function that he forgot he had to go to. "Oh, Clark, you're not in your tuxedo. We have to go to this dinner or whatever." He's like, "Oh, sorry, Lois. Can you come out to the balcony with me for a moment?" She's like, "What?" So he grabs her hand. He jumps off the balcony with her. Now, Lois at this moment is still under her weird mind hypnosis thing with Superman, that we learned in Superman 2, where he had sex with Lois, but then he made her forget. I mean, it's kind of like he roofied her.
That's a
This gets into some very questionable ethics.
Yeah, how was Bill Cosby this at the comic release?
So Superman. So he grabs Lois Lane. He jumps off the building. She still forgets, but then he changes into Superman in front of her, and she's like, "Oh, that's right, you're Superman. I forgot." He lifts the fog, and he's like, "Would you like to go flying?" "Sure." This montage is hilarious because they're flying, but they're flying like Peter Pan style, where he's just got her by the hand. And I'm like, that would break her wrist. You're supporting 110 pounds of human weight on her wrist, flying her around. And she's just like, "Yeah, this is great." And so they have, a montage of poorly composited aerial footage.
They went to San Francisco.
They went to Frisco. "Hey, look at this B-roll we bought cheap. Let's fly through the B-roll.
Gate Bridge.
Fly through the B-roll." And then they come back to his apartment, and then he kisses her and super roofies her again. And then once again, she forgets he's Superman. And that scene really creeped me out.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'd forgotten about the super roofie from 2 until I saw that. I was like, I was like, that's right.
Superman, I got a
Superman.
Oh, gee.
Give me some of that, Superman.
Oh man, Bill Cosby's like, that's a dang, dude. Bill Cosby probably loves Superman.
He's like, "Hey, if it's good enough for the Man of Steel."
Yeah. If Bill Cosby says his favorite superhero is Superman,
We'll know why.
100% guilty, no doubt.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So
Made women go to sleep.
So anyway, after that moment, he makes the decision, "You know what? I think I am going to save the world." I guess that was a moral dilemma for him. So he decides to fly over to the United Nations where Timmy's waiting for him. He's like, "All right, Timmy, you go up in the stands and listen to this speech." He tells the United Nations, "I'm going to collect all the nuclear weapons from the entire world and get rid of them for you." And everyone stands up and claps. And that's the end of Act 1. And so that's really setting up the plot of Act 2. Now, Act 2 starts with this awesome montage of both the U.S. and the Russians, and they're testing nuclear weapons. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, Superman just declared he's going to get rid of all nuclear weapons. So do we need to be doing nuclear missile tests at this point? But they're sitting there firing off nuclear warheads. And as soon as they do, Superman comes, flies, grabs them, and takes them up to space. He's got a giant space net that he has somehow sewn out of steel cables in space. And he gets all these nuclear weapons and he puts them in his giant space net. And once he's collected all the nuclear warheads, he spins around and he throws it into the sun and he blows up all the nuclear warheads.
Before we move on, one thing, because the big dilemma was he never wanted to get involved with the politics and geopolitical. It was always, oh, so there's a burning building, let me save someone, or oh, there's always just saving. And yeah, because there's even that moment where one of his hologram relatives or whatever, and it says something about not interfering.
You're right.
And so this is what actually I think makes Superman interesting. I'm like, finally, is that conflict of, do I get involved with geopolitical? Am I now I am greater than you, so I'm now instilling my ethics or my will against, like, you will not have war, like he's now, and then what, is that going to create a power hunger? Now we're serving, so like, to me, I was like, oh, this is interesting, and this feels very more modern Superman that we see now kind of vibes. So I'm sure in the 80s, it was probably like, whoa, well, that's cool.
I feel they should have gone a little deeper down that road.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're right. There is that moment where he goes to the Fortress of Solitude and he plays the tape deck of his relatives. And you're right. They tell him, don't get involved. He's like, well, I am going to get involved. But they kind of...
This is post-Watchmen, too.
We're talking about a 19... Oh.
Yeah, the comic book. I think the comic book came out mid-80s.
It did.
Around the same time.
You're right. Yeah. This is about the time of the Watchmen, which also deals with Mr. Manhattan, who's basically a Superman, dealing with, how do I interfere with nuclear weapons? Because if I don't, they're going to kill themselves.
I'll become the bad guy.
And I'll become the bad guy. Wow. Superman was actually a pretty poor thing. I'm telling you, people, this movie's better than you remember.
Yeah, so I was just like, oh, this is good. I'm liking this plot. I was digging it. I like it.
But it could get even more, cooler if they just would have just took a chance, And plus, they didn't have the special effects, but that didn't stop them from making other parts of the movie,
Oh my God!
Like it could have been like a decision, like later on in the movie when we get to the part with the Eclipse.
Oh yeah, we're going to the Eclipse. We're going to the Eclipse. So now I do think that they really used Lex Luthor very well in this movie, because as soon as Superman gets rid of all the nuclear weapons, he sees, this is my chance. I'm going to get in bed with these warmongers who still have like a stockpile of some nuclear weapons that they haven't, released to the world, and we're going to be super rich because, these superpowers, they need nuclear weapons now. Nobody has them. So if I start selling them, they're all going to buy them off of me. So we just need to get rid of Superman and we can sell nukes back to these countries. I'm like, that's actually a pretty good super genius plot. And so, of course, he's like, I just got to make Nuclear Man. So he brings in the warmongers and he says, hey, man, this is my plan. I'm going to create a Superman clone. We're going to sell nukes back to the Russians in the U.S. I just need your help. So one of the goons actually works for the Department of Defense. And he's like, okay, I'm going to sneak you onto a base. So they go to one of the last tests of a nuclear missile. And it's really funny because there's a scene where he's like mixing chemicals together and he puts in Superman's hair. And, Ducky's like, what are you doing, Uncle? And he's like, oh, I'm making the genetic concoction that'll create a Superman clone. And then he puts like a little piece of leather. I don't know if you remember that. He drops it in the vat, and the Ducky's like, wait, what's that for? And he's like, well, you don't want him to come out naked. This is so he can have some clothes. And then Ducky's like, well, that's not enough. And I love that he says what we're all thinking. He's like, that's not enough to cover a man's body. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. Through the scientific process, I'm sure he's going to come out with an outfit that will be modest. And I was like, wow, that's really funny. They are calling their shot. So he takes this vat of goo with the leather now mixed in with the goo, and he just welds it to a box to the side of the nuclear missile. It is hilarious because it is so obviously just a metal box welded. Like, it even looks like one of those tackle boxes.
Yeah.
You get at the store, and he just puts the goo in that, welds it to the side of the missile. They shoot it off into space. Of course, Superman's like, oh, a missile, goes, grabs it, throws it into the sun. And that's the moment the Nuclear Man is born. And he comes out of the sun as a little baby, but grows up instantly into a man, a big, beautiful man. The guy's name is
Mark Pillow.
Thank you, Mark Pillow.
Mark Pillow, boys.
Mark Pillow was a Chippendales dancer.
I can see that.
Well,
that
yeah,
name. But that's a great, wow. That's a great metal.
6'7"? Yeah,
6'7".
just that blonde, beautiful hair. Yeah, that's a
give it up
man.
for Mark Pillow.
That's a man right there.
Man's man.
What a stripper's you never really think about male stripper names like you do female. Mark Pillow is a great
Mark Pillow's not a bad stripper.
There's no way
name.
that's a real name. That's made up.
I don't know, but so you got to remember, Christopher Reeve is a big guy. He's like 6'4".
Yeah.
And muscly, so you need someone who can give him a run for his money. So this Mark Pillow, I thought he was great looking. I mean, like, he had that great 80s villain look. Like you said, he had the platinum locks.
Oh, yeah, that hair.
6'7", big guy, handsome. He does not talk in his own voice. Every time he talks, it's overdubbed as Gene Hackman. I don't know if that was just...
That's his father.
No,
Was
I
it?
know.
I didn't catch that.
Oh yeah, no,
wow,
his
okay.
voice is Gene Hackman. So my question is, did they feel that Mark Pillow just wasn't getting it, and so they overdubbed him as Gene Hackman?
Talk like this.
Or
Yeah.
Superman.
Hey.
Like Mike Tyson did that.
Yeah.
Hey, Superman. It's a day, Superman.
So he's born. It's funny because he comes out of the sun. He is fully clothed.
Figured it out. Gene Hackman was right.
Gene Hackman was right. It was a modest outfit. It looks kind of like a gladiator
Yeah.
dress is the only way I would
I think
describe
it's
it.
kind of dope. I think that.
It's one of those things where it's fine, dude. It nails the tone fine.
Yeah.
For an 80s action superhero movie,
It's what you expect.
it's pre Tim Burton's Batman. So we're
Yeah.
not all, in the grittier side of superhero movies. Dude, it's totally fine. I have no problems with the actor as Nuclear Man. I have no problem with Nuclear Man's outfit. I have no problem with Nuclear Man's origin story.
Yeah.
So far, this script is fine. The only, thing I've got against Superman 4 at this point is just the special effects look
Yeah,
bad.
production value. And
Yeah.
back in the day, that was a scarlet letter you did not want. And when somebody say, "Man, special effects suck," because that would make you tune out of a movie. Real
Well,
quick.
yeah, and I mean, let's face it, Superman movie, you'll believe a man can fly, right? That was literally their tagline. It was, hey, come look at these great special effects. That's what sold Superman in the movies initially. So, very poor special effects. So anyway, Nuclear Man is born. He flies back. He knows exactly where Lex Luthor is in this penthouse in Metropolis. Goes to Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is, monologuing to the warlords. Oh yeah, this is my Nuclear Man. He's just as strong as Superman, but he's got one weakness. He draws the shades, and as soon as he's in the dark, Nuclear Man just curls up into a ball and turns off. So I'm looking at it going, well, he's not Nuclear Man, is he? He's Solar Man. Like, he's misnamed.
With
Yeah.
the worst solar battery of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, they should at least make it where it lasts a little bit longer.
Yeah, right? Like,
no seconds.
He can't hold a charge.
yeah.
No, he cannot hold a charge. As soon as he is without sunlight, he just curls up into a ball, which Superman will use to good effect
It's
later.
definitely a foreshadow.
Oh, definitely foreshadowing.
If you like foreshadowing, you're gonna love that scene.
Just like Superman's little MacGuffin crystal. Yeah, this movie sets it up. So, okay. And then, of course, the next scene is the one that you brought up, which is, I call it the farce. So, back at the Daily Planet, Lacey is talking to Lois, like, I really like, this Clark guy. And she's like, yeah, I really like Superman. We should get them together. Okay, let's have lunch over at my apartment. So Lacey invites Lois Lane and Superman and Clark Kent over to her apartment. So this is, dude, I clocked it. This scene clocks in at about 8 minutes out of like a 90-minute movie, dude. This is a huge chunk of the film. Is like this comedy scene where, he shows up with Lois as Clark, and then they're there, and then he's like, he has to come up with like various reasons of why he has to exit the room. Oh, I left something in the car, run down. Now he comes back as Superman. Superman's, oh, I hear something, wait 1 minute, come back as Clark Kent, so that he can have this double date with Lacey and Lois as Superman and Clark Kent, and it goes on for 8 minutes.
Yeah, like, because then she gets on the elevator and something happens, or he can't get on the elevator, so then he flies over and enters the Superman, and then, all the comedy that ensues.
Causes, like, the duck to burn in the oven, so
Yeah.
that'll distract her so he can change. It's just,
Yeah.
it's a farce. So I literally put in my notes,
humor.
it's the farce.
Yeah.
I wonder when he's got to use his draw 4 wild card, which just he can't get away from somebody. He simply goes, "Oh, I gotta take a shit." You know what I'm saying? Like, oh,
I gotta go take a super dump.
Yeah.
I hope this bathroom has a window. You know what I'm saying?
And, he's always got the backup plan that if he gets in over his head, he can just super roofie them both.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
he's got that in his back
yeah.
pocket.
He doesn't want to have to use it, but it's there.
So he's flying into the situation going, I'm going to pull off this farce, and if not, I'm roofing both.
And Cosby the whole time screwed for him knocking. Oh, Rufy, I'm Superman. You should have done it from
Come
the
here
start.
for a kiss.
Yeah.
You won't remember nothing.
Don't play games. Don't do the farce, Superman. Right for the get.
So what I love is, okay, so this farce is going on for like 8 minutes, right? And then Superman runs to the kitchen as Clark Kent, and he looks out the window, and there's a Jumbotron outside the window in like their
Yeah,
kind
Gene
of,
Hackman hacked it.
yeah.
Oh, hacking.
Gene Hackman did, right?
Great.
No,
Hey, I see what you did there.
no, this is hilarious
Admit
though.
that.
So he comes on, Lex Luthor, he comes on, he's like, hey, Superman, I'm talking to you. Don't worry, this is a special frequency. No one else can see me or hear me but you, Superman. So I'm like, all right, they're trying, okay, sure.
Yeah.
But then he goes, if you look to your left, you'll see a building. And I'm like, whoa.
How does he know it's
Yeah,
right
where
there?
does he know where Superman is in the city to know that he is to the left of this building?
Yeah.
But he goes, if you look to your left, you're going to see a building. And I'm going to blow up the top 20 stories of this building unless you come here now. So that's, of course, what gets Superman, makes some excuse. I got to go, flies off, goes to the building, and starts the first of 2 giant fights with Nuclear Man. This movie is a lot of fight scenes between Superman and Nuclear Man.
And not the best fight scenes.
Well, because of those
budget.
special
The
effects.
budget cuts.
So yeah, Nuclear Man and Superman come together. Lex Luthor delivers like a 4-minute monologue before they start fighting. I had to clock it. I'm like, dude, this is a really long supervillain monologue. So anyway, after Lex Luthor's very long monologue, Superman and Nuclear Man get into their fight. The compositing is terrible. They are like fighting over the sky and falling down next to buildings, and you can see like the black outlines around them. The angles don't match between them and the background elements. Like, it is really bad special effects throughout their whole fight scene. And their fight scene takes them around the world, right? So they go to the Great Wall of China and they're fighting, and then Nuclear Man blows it up. And apparently in the original script, Superman was supposed to rebuild it really quick. And, at this point, the budget
Cuts.
Budget cuts. I think they should have just cut out the Great Wall of China entirely, but it's in there. Nuclear Man blows up the Great Wall of China, and so Superman just does this and shoots it with lasers, and then in this very stop motion-y thing, it just puts all the bricks back. So he just has like laser vision that just, I want to rebuild this, because they didn't have the money, I guess, to composite him actually building the Great Wall of China.
So yeah, they just reversed the footage.
Yeah, I read where they literally just took it, it's just built like a Lego, and they just filmed them just taking off brick by brick, and then just reversed the footage. It's just like
trash.
And then rebuilt the wall. And they're fighting, then they go to Italy, and Nuclear Man, I love this moment, dude. He like tucks in his arms and he does this little twirly thing and he twirls into a volcano. And then when he flies out, the volcano starts erupting. So Superman's like, I'm going to plug the volcano. So he uses his laser vision and cuts off the top of a mountain and plugs the volcano, which if any of you guys know geology, absolutely would not work. That would just cause it to erupt even stronger. But, he's
And also mountaintop removal, which is
ecologically not sound. Yeah, a lot of implications here in this fight. Then he uses this like cooling breath to like cool off the lava. So it's fun. And then now their fight takes them to New York City, and this is the moment of the film that I love the most. So they're fighting, and then Nuclear Man picks up the Statue of Liberty, flies it up over Manhattan, and drops it. And this Statue of Liberty falls at the slowest rate of speed I have ever seen an object fall. It is just floating down to the ground very slowly. And then Superman has to go and like pick it up. And then that's his moment where like Superman's distracted with the Statue of Liberty. Nuclear Man comes up behind him. He's got these claws and he scratches Superman. And somehow being scratched by Nuclear Man robs Superman of like all his powers. He gets really weak. So, he barely gets the Statue of Liberty back into place and then flies home defeated. And then he's like at home and you see him and he's all like, old looking. He looks like an ancient cancer patient or something. He's all messed up. And then he remembers, oh yeah, my MacGuffin crystal. So then he goes back to the farm. He takes the crystal and now he comes back as Superman. Any thoughts on the fight scene that I didn't touch upon?
Yeah, besides it being just straight trash and uninteresting. And, they should have, that's the problem right here. They had a lot of good storylines, especially in the first act. But then if they just would have maintained like, Superman don't have time to fix the Great Wall of China right now. Everyone fighting, like I got to get rid of this guy. And of course it's going to be brought up again. Just make Superman make some choices besides just being, make the stakes higher. Yeah. He's trying to be reactive and proactive at the same time. It's just like, just have some stakes where stuff gets messed up and Superman's in over his head with this guy a little bit and he can't fix it right away. Yeah.
That'd be an interesting choice. Dave, any thoughts on the first big fight scene?
I mean, we've already kind of touched upon that. It's just they cut the budget, so it's not good. It's just bad. But yeah, kind of what Tim was touched upon a little bit of raising stakes is, with it being geopolitical. I feel like they should have had some more where him trying to do good pisses off these people versus these people, and having like people mad at him, people for him by the choices he's making.
Right.
Where it's like, I'm trying to be good. I can't, you can't
please
please everybody.
everybody.
You shouldn't get involved in other countries, like that kind of, like, I think that's something they could have played with a little more.
All right. I think this whole fight scene thing, if they had the budget to pull it off correctly, I think it would have been fine. Like, to me, that's my big problem with this movie, is it just looks really bad. But I feel like the writing for a superhero movie in the 80s is perfectly acceptable. If this movie had come out with a proper budget to do all the special effects as they should have, it would not be hated. It would be, it probably would have been like a middling, like, it was fine, whatever. This fight scene is fine. So Superman recharges. Now, this is where you can totally see. So apparently the original cut of this movie was like 2.5 hours long.
Wow.
And Canon, and I don't know if that cut was like pre-special effects. I believe it must have been, because Canon's like, we got to cut all this stuff out for budget. So apparently there was another Nuclear Man. So the Nuclear Man that we see in the final cut is Nuclear Man 2. There was a proto-Nuclear Man, and he's Nuclear Man 1. And there was a whole subplot where he fell in love with Lacey, the newspaper guy's daughter, that got cut because this next scene makes no sense if you don't know that. So, all right. So Nuclear Man just defeated Superman. He scratched him. Superman got weak. Superman flew off. Nuclear Man is, I'm triumphant. So what does he do? He flies back to the penthouse, Lex Luthor's penthouse. And on the desk is a newspaper article about, Daily Planet gets new favorite reporter. Favorite actually spelled with Fourite, because this was shot in England and they don't know how we're supposed to spell favorite, which I thought was funny. So anyway, he looks at it and he says, I want that woman. And then he flies off and you're like, what? Why does he want this one? I mean, other than Meryl's it's beautiful. Sure, I'll give him that. Yeah. But I guess there was a whole subplot where Nuclear Man 1 was in love with this chick. So when Nuclear Man 2 sees her in the paper, he wants her, whatever. So anyway, I had to read that because it's nowhere in the context of the script. So he flies off. Now, I love this next scene. So Superman has since recharged with the MacGuffin crystal. Nuclear Man sees Lacey in the paper. He wants her. So he flies to the Daily Planet. As soon as he lands, Superman is standing outside. And Nuclear Man says, give me the woman. And I'm sitting there watching it the first time because I hadn't looked up the context yet. I'm like, A, how did Superman know he was going to the Daily Planet at exactly that moment? There were no clues that would have told him he was going to the Daily Planet at exactly that moment. 2, give me the woman. Who's the woman? He doesn't say her by name. Superman knows exactly who she's talking about. So it makes no sense if you're watching it, but yeah, there were scenes cut. So he shows up to the Daily Planet, says, give me the woman. And Superman says, well, I hit her and you're never going to find her. And Nuclear Man says, if you don't give her to me, I will hurt people. And then this is another scene where, you can really feel those special effects, because then Nuclear Man is like shooting off energy bolts and blowing up buildings, except you can tell these are like little models getting blown up, or like, I know there's a scene where like he blows out the storefronts and you can literally see the plywood wobble. They were just like flats, like theater flats that are being blown up and stuff. Like, yeah, it's pretty bad. There's like people, he like picks them up and you can like see the wires and stuff. It's bad, people. Like, I feel bad for poor Superman at this point. He deserved better. So, he's like, he's destroying him, and Superman doesn't stop this. He's just kind of standing there like biding his time. And then Nuclear Man flies into the building, flies up looking for Lacey, and then Superman's like, well, she's not in the elevator for sure. And he's like, aha, she's in the elevator. So he climbs into the elevator and Superman closes the door, and that puts him in the dark, see? So that decharges him. So now he's all decharged. And Superman's like, aha, I will take you where there's never sun, the moon.
And I was thinking that's actually pretty smart, right? Because there's a dark side
of the moon. Yeah.
Superman is not that smart. He does not deposit this guy on the dark side of the moon. He could have put him on the dark side of the moon and we never would have seen him again. He never would have got charged. No, he puts him just on the moon. And then what happens? The sun rises and he comes back to life, and then they have a fight on the moon. Tim, what did you think about the moon fight?
Oh, that was crazy when he so cartoony, cambered him into the moon. Superman.
Superman hammers
Superman. Yeah.
into the moon.
Yeah. And that was such a convoluted fight scene. I was like, I mean, again, there's no stakes or anything, and it's just you just really rooting for it to be over.
It's not a long movie. It's a very brisk 90 minutes.
So that's the reason why superhero movies are better now, because you can actually feel people dying when he's and they bring it up in some of the DC movies, like all the cost and all that, and
Marvel movies talk about that too, with the destruction of that one town I can't think of in Avengers 2.
Kenosha, right?
No, where they
the Russian town.
Yeah.
Where Maximus are from.
Thank you. Anyway, so yes, superhero movies now kind of deal with stakes. Oh, we're getting to a moment where stakes are not dealt with in just 1 second. So yeah, they have this fight on the moon. It looks very, very cheesy. Nuclear Man pile drives Superman into the dirt. And what's hilarious is Superman comes out of the dirt and he's like gasping for air because he couldn't breathe because he was in the dirt. And I'm like, there's no air on the moon anyway.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have been breathing oxygen before you went into that hole. You're not breathing it now. I don't know. He gets out, he's like, So I had to laugh over that. So now Nuclear Man, after pile driving Superman into the moon, goes back to the Daily Planet and does grab Lacey. And this moment is brilliant. So he grabs Lacey, and what does he do? He flies her into space.
Believe it or not, she doesn't die, guys.
She should have exploded the second she left the atmosphere, all right? She actually would have passed out above about 10,000 feet. Now, he takes her all the way into space, and what does she do? She looks back at the shrinking Earth, and she, holds on tight, oh, we're really high up. We're miles above the Earth in the dead of space. So what does he do? Superman grabs the moon, and he moves the moon into an eclipse position between the sun and Nuclear Man, and that is what robs Nuclear Man of his powers, and he goes dormant. And what's hilarious is Lacey's holding on to him, oh, don't let me fall into space. It's we just float away. I mean, you're already having no problem breathing, and with negative hundreds of degrees temperature, you're fine. But what's hilarious, of course, is if you were to move the moon, you would wreak ecological havoc on Earth, David.
Oh, yeah, no. All the tides are controlled by the moon, all that. Or is this pro-flat Earth? I don't know.
Does it perceive flat Earth or post-flat Earth?
I'm guessing he's saying the Earth is flat and that the moon doesn't control tides. And you can breathe in space because space isn't real. I don't know. Is that the conspiracy? Is that the conspiracy? Are we going there?
Apparently,
we covered 9/11 and abortions. Are we going?
Magellan was fake.
Magellan was a liar. Big globe is behind it.
Is this secretly what was he trying to tell us?
What was he trying to tell us? Yeah, so it's hilarious. He moves the moon into position that would, and somehow that wouldn't corrupt its orbit and send it crashing into Earth or anything. Moves the moon, that turns off Nuclear Man, and then he flies Lacey back home. So you should probably be on Earth. Let me just put you back on Earth. Then flies back up to Nuclear Man, who's still floating inert, grabs him, and then flies him into a nuclear power plant and just throws him down the exhaust tube. And that kills Nuclear Man for some reason. I thought he was Nuclear Man. You would think throwing him into a nuclear power plant would recharge him.
Yeah, right? Makes no sense.
Yeah.
And that's how he dispatches of Nuclear Man. And then he flies back to the Daily Planet, where there's this total Deus Ex Machina moment where he shows up and there's a big banner saying, back to old management. And they're like, what happened? And then the Daily Planet manager is like, well, we just sought investors that thought we shouldn't be run by some mogul. So they gave us the power to buy back the planet. It's now owned by the people. I was like, all right. So they get rid of the, Ted Turner type. Superman gives another speech at the UN reminding him, hey, no nuclear missiles, people. I think that was Sidney Fury putting his stamp on it, trying to end the Cold War through his movies. Cut to the last scene of the movie. You got Lex Luthor flying down the highway with his nephew in the car, trying to make his big escape. But then the car picks up from the ground. You see Superman's under it. This moment kills me. He flies to a boys' boarding school for troubled youth and just plucks out Ducky and throws him behind the fence. And I was like, that young man is not matriculated. They would not just bring him in as a student now. Come on, man. You got to enroll him for Superman. But he just plucks him, throws him behind the gate of the trouble.
I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
They know the score.
You guys just iron this out.
If I drop them off, they know it's for a reason. They know the score.
Who's paying his tuition? So anyway, he drops the boy off at the troubled boys boarding school, and then of course flies Lex Luthor back to the chain gang prison yard where the other prisoners make fun of him, like, oh, look who's back, ha ha ha. And then we end the film, and that ends Superman 4.
Yeah.
So what is your takeaway of Superman 4?
Now, here's the thing about Superman 4, and it really confused me at the ending. Was Jimmy Olsen ever in this movie until the end?
Oh no, he's throughout.
Okay, he's throughout.
I just didn't bring him up because
I never noticed him.
he's not crucial to the plot.
Yeah, no, it's weird. All of a sudden he's like Johnny Happy. We saved the paper.
Before the Marvel
He should have got
movies-
fired in the beginning. That new man guy should have fired Jimmy. I don't like the way your face looks, pal. You're
out of here.
You're way too happy for me. Get out. You're gonna cause me trouble. Get out. Oh, you looking at my daughter? Get out of here. Should have put some stakes in this movie.
I know.
Like showing people getting hit by tidal waves. I'm sure they had all this thought of when they had a bigger budget. But things happen. I'm sure they thought of that.
All right,
Yeah, I'm
all
sure they
right.
thought of that.
The actor who played Jimmy Olsen actually held the record for appearing in the most number of comic book movies before, like, the Marvel universe.
Oh, really? Nice.
Because he was in all 4 Supermans and Supergirl.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so there you go. David, what's your takeaway of Superman 4?
See, I went into it expecting hot garbage.
Because that's how everyone pitches it.
'Cause I know I would have seen it when I was real young. Don't remember it. But yeah, I was going in like hot garbage. This is going to be hot garbage. I'm kind of excited to watch really bad movie. And then, I was like, this is actually pretty good. And then, it's just kind of falls apart with the effects. But like I said, the plot with geopolitical and all this stuff, I was like, this is kind of cool. Like, I like it. And one thing I wanted to bring up with Lacey,
Mariel Hemingway?
Yeah, so like I know we're supposed to be pro Lois Lane, and Lois Lane loves Superman, not Clark Kent. And she's hot for Clark Kent, so I'm kind of pro her over. And then I know that Lois is like always like trying to talk trash about her, but like she liked him for him, not not
good
Superman.
point. Not for being
She
Superman.
didn't love Superman. She wanted
Clark Kent.
She wanted Clark Kent.
So you want to who wouldn't want
Yeah,
Clark Kent?
yeah.
He looks like Christopher
So
Reeve.
he should have been dumping Lois Lane for her, because she only wanted. She was like, hey, he's too much of a Boy Scout. She don't. He wasn't a panty dropper for Superman was.
But maybe they brought Mariel Hemingway in because, if you look at Margot Kidder from Superman 1 to Superman 4, there's a
Shit's
big...
a rough year. There was some cocaine or some drug use. I know.
I don't think she ever came out of that funk. Either.
Yeah,
I think
no,
it stuck with her. I think she was trouble for a long time.
Didn't I? If I recall correctly, didn't she have like some mental health?
Mental
issues?
health,
She had a long
Kinda
breakdown.
Like, the Shelley Duvall.
Yeah.
It wasn't just substance abuse. There's
There was
like
some
some
mental,
other
yeah.
stuff going on because you're right. I mean, you're watching some old scenes from Superman 1 and 2. She's beautiful.
Yeah, she's
And
great.
8 years later, I mean, she's still a pretty woman, but she just looks like she's
Let's
been
bring in
through.
Hemingway just in case.
Yeah, I mean, Margot Kidder is looking rough. Just
Yeah.
8 years later, between 1 and 4. So I mean, my hot take I gave in the beginning. I like this movie. I was watching. I was like, I find this entertaining. I remember watching Man of Steel the first time and just feeling like I was doing homework. I'm like, I feel like this is an assignment. This is just a slog, man. It's a downer. The plot is middling and confusing. I just don't care about any of these people, even though Henry Cavill is fine. Of course, you have Amy Adams.
Yeah, Amy Adams.
So the I have no qualms with the casting. I just didn't like the direction of it. I didn't like the tone of it. I didn't like the plot of it. Whereas this one, I love the cast. The plot is very clear to follow, very point A to point B. I'm never like, why are they doing what they're doing? Other than, of course, the whole moment with Lacey, I want the woman, because there were some missing scenes. But other than that, like, the plot you can follow, the tone it got right. It's like funny, but not like, ironically winking, I just really feel like if they had gone ahead and done it at the original budget, it would have been a perfectly fine movie that people fondly remembered.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm reclaiming Superman 4 from the
hey.
dustbins of cultural history. This is like Rosemary's Baby 2, a movie where I'm like, damn it, people, this film
Yeah.
deserves better.
Yeah,
want the
I'll give you
nuclear
that
cut.
one.
The nuclear cut.
Yeah, and I'll give you that one.
With good special effects, you'd have probably the third best Superman movie behind 1 and 2, because these Superman movies are way better than any of the other Superman movies that follow. Of course, Superman Returns we talked about, the Man of Steel movies. You know, has James Gunn said he's recasting and rebooting Superman?
Yeah. 'Cause there's
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because I know that's got a lot of people upset because they're just getting rid of
Henry
Cavill
Cavill
and have
Who is
someone else. He's good. He's good.
But we know that Henry Cavill could come back as Superman at any time.
Well, that's
not
true.
like
It's
the
a
whole,
multiverse
yeah.
world, yeah.
Not that. That's what they set this up for. You know, to bring back Robert Downey Jr. and all these other people's played all these parts. You might even get at some point Chris Evans as Captain America and Chris Evans as the Human Torch. You know, at some point we might actually see that. you
Well,
know?
I mean, you're right, especially with what Marvel did with that last Spider-Man movie. And we've got Michael Caine playing Batman in the movie theaters, you know, coming very
Keaton.
soon. Or Michael
Caine. Michael Caine.
Michael Caine is Batman. He ain't Alfred no more. He's Batman.
The Batman.
Joker. Woo. All right, it's been a long day, people. I think we need to wrap this up. We're going to wrap it up with Michael Caine's Batman. Okay, people. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of Sequels That Aren't Equal. Thank you to the people of Frankfurt, Germany for joining us.
Yeah.
And all of our other 9 fans out there. And we will be back very soon with a new episode. See you then.
Ryan, Sid, and Dave are watching movies.